All right, so today we're diving into adding and removing software on Linux. We got that request, and it's pretty fundamental, right? We've got stuff here on using apt, graphical interfaces, and even Git. So the goal is to really get you comfortable with these methods, like not just the steps, but why they work the way they do.
Yeah, exactly. See, most software on Linux, it's not just a standalone thing. It relies on other bits and pieces,
Yeah.
dependencies. So it's packaged up neatly with everything it needs. And these packages, they live in repositories, basically these central locations where your system knows to look for software.
Makes sense. So let's jump into apt, huh? Like if you're running Ubuntu, Kali, anything Debian-based, this is your command line buddy. The main tool is apt-get. Now, let's say you want to install Snort, the intrusion detection system. How would you even find it using apt?
Well, you'd use apt-cache search and then the term. So apt-cache search snort. And what this does is it checks all those available packages and shows you anything that matches snort, either in the name or even in the description. It helps you pinpoint the exact package you're looking for.
Okay, so you found it. How do you actually install it?
It's pretty straightforward. You use the command apt-get install, followed by the package name. So in this case, apt-get install snort. Your system's then going to show you what's going to be installed, and it asks for your confirmation. Just hit shit and enter.
All right. And what if you're done with Snort? You want to get rid of it. How do you uninstall it?
The basic way is apt-get remove, and then the name, so apt-get remove snort. That'll take the main program off your system, but it leaves behind any configuration files you might have set up. That's handy if you think you might reinstall it later and you want to keep those settings.
And what if you want everything gone? Snort and its config files, the whole shebang.
Right. For a clean sweep, you'd use apt-get purge snort. This gets rid of the package and the configs. Oh, and here's a cool thing. If snort had any dependencies, other software it relied on and nothing else uses them now, well, apt might offer to remove those automatically too. Keeps your system tidy.
Keeping software up to date, that's crucial. What's the apt process for updates?
There are two main parts to it. First, you run apt-get update. That doesn't actually install new versions, but it refreshes the list of available packages from those repositories we talked about, like checking the inventory in the software warehouse.
Right. So update is like checking what's new. What about actually installing those updates?
That's where apt-get upgrade comes in. It looks at those updated lists, and then it upgrades all the software you have to the newest versions from those repositories. Usually you'd use sudo apt-get upgrade because you need admin rights. Important to remember, it only upgrades stuff it knows about from your configured repositories.
Speaking of repositories, our sources mention this file called sources.list. What's the deal with that?
At capsources.list. That's where your system keeps track of all those web addresses for the software repositories. It tells your system where to find the goods. Distributions like Kali, they often categorize these repositories. You might see terms like main, universe, or restricted. These categories, they often deal with the level of support you can expect for the software and the licensing, that sort of thing.
So if I can't find something I need in the standard Kali repositories, can I add more?
Yeah, you can,
Yeah.
but you got to be careful. You'd edit that sources.list file, add the info for the new repository, like maybe you need a specific version of Java. You might add a repository for that. But you want to make sure the repository is trustworthy and that it plays well with your system. Avoid any potential headaches, right? And when you try to install something, your system checks these repositories in order.
Okay, that makes sense. What about those who prefer, a more visual approach to software? Our sources mention some GUI tools.
Yeah, you've got graphical tools like Synaptic. They give you that point-and-click way to manage software. They might not be installed by default in the newer Kali versions,
Yeah.
but you can install Synaptic itself, easy peasy, using apt-get.
Yeah.
Apt-get install Synaptic. And once it's running, you can search for stuff, just like we talked about with Snort, mark packages for installation or removal, and then apply those changes. It's essentially a visual way of doing the same things apt does.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about Git. I usually think of that for code. How does it fit into installing software?
So sometimes, especially with newer or more specialized software, you won't find it in those regular repositories. The developers might host their code on platforms like GitHub. Git is a version control system, and you can use the command git clone to download a complete copy of that software's code. Like you could do git clone https://www.github.com by bellabluediving.git to get the code for this tool called Blue Diving. Now, once you've cloned the repository, you usually need to follow the developer's instructions. Sometimes you have to compile the code yourself before you can run it.
So we covered apt in the command line, looked at graphical tools, and saw how Git lets you grab software straight from the developers. These are really the core ways to manage software in Linux, huh?
Absolutely. And what's really interesting is how it reflects the whole open and distributed nature of Linux. You've got these well-maintained central repositories, but then this huge ecosystem of software being developed and shared independently.
Hmm.
Gives you a ton of flexibility in getting the tools you need. But it also means it's good to understand where your software comes from.
That's a great point. So now that you've got a clearer picture of how software gets added and removed on Linux, what new tools or projects are you feeling more confident about exploring? What possibilities does this understanding unlock for your own deep dive into the world of Linux? Thanks for listening.